So, Natia, I'd like to thank you. This is going to be my last question. Um, I really enjoy what you've brought to my final. And just even having this conversation with you, I just even got to have a little more insight on Dominican culture, even though we hang out, we're friends, and I get a little bit here and there, but actually having a conversation, you get to learn a little bit more, and then you get to see the similarities between all of us, because even you're Dominican, I'm Jamaican,
we're not that far.
We're not that far apart, but I mean, we're both from the islands. But you're Latina, I'm black. You see the similarities between all of us. So I want to end our interview by you telling me briefly about family traditions that you and your family did, which came from Dominican Republic, which came from the Dominican Republic, which reminds you of home, or reminds your family of home. Like, can you give me a couple of examples?
Yes. So for the holidays, for instance, obviously it's very important that everything's homemade. Oh. But one of the things is, for instance, for Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving is a turkey. Dominicans are not big fans of turkey. I don't even think they eat turkey like that. Like, they're like, what's a turkey? We eat pernil.
Okay.
Which it's pork. It's just pork thigh. You leave it in the oven. You cook early in the morning. You wake up at 4, 5 in the morning. Put it slow, and by the end of the day, by the evening time for dinner, it's perfectly cooked.
Oh, I thought pernil was pork shoulder. I don't know why.
Is it? Is it? No, it is the shoulder.
It is the shoulder.
The shoulder puts. I said thigh, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's pork shoulder. You're correct. So that's something that we always make, even though and remember, Thanksgiving is an American thing. It's not something that came from DR, but like I said, for Thanksgiving we'll do pernil because that's what we do for the holidays. Then we get into Christmas and New Year, so there we always have the pernil, we have the sweet potatoes and the rice, the moro and things like that. Those things always stay traditional, pastel en hoja, and then what comes with that is half a dozen people in your kitchen cooking something at the same time. So that's always, one is preparing something while the other one's cooking something, the other one's a salad. So you have all those people in the same kitchen. That's still the same with us. And even with this newer generation here, we kept that. Now, for Christmas, you open your gift. We celebrate Christmas on the 24th.
Okay.
Which is called Noche Buena. You could say good night. It's a good night. So you start the 24th. You have your family or you have dinner. At midnight, the children open the gift. Oh. So that's Christmas. Jesus was born. Now you can open your gift. The 25th is a relaxed day. Family stays home together. They eat leftover. And we still do that here.
So you don't. So
Christmas Day, the actual Christmas.
There's no cooking.
There's nothing to do. The day of rest. That's the day that Jesus was born. You're not to work. That is not the day of work. That is the day to enjoy and with your family. And the kids open the toys and things like that. So Christmas Day, relax. You could literally be in your PJs all day and you won't be judged for it. Well, here you go. And then for New Year's, what happens is you spend it with your family, same thing. Then 6 days later,
Three Kings?
The Three Kings Day. And then the youngest kids in your family tend to get a second gift on that day. Normally, if you're like past 15, 16, they'll be like, no, you're too old for this already. But normally, the younger children will get a second gift on the Three Kings. And that's something that we still celebrate here, which is not I don't hear a lot of people celebrating Three Kings Day. That's something we brought over and we still do. And then for Mother's Day, we celebrate Mother's Day, which is actually tomorrow. It's the last Sunday of May. So that's the Dominican way, and that's how we do it here. So now my family tries to do both on Mother's Day. I'm like, no, pick one. You're not gonna celebrate both. Okay, either you're American, we're gonna stick to the Dominican. But we normally, in my family, try to do the Dominican Mother's Day. We don't make such a fuss. The first one is like you're preparing for the last one.
Oh, I see.
So that's one.
So Dominican Mother's Day. So then you'll cook and you have to
exactly. So that's what I was telling you doing earlier. We prepare meals for the mothers in your family, and it's normally something very typical to the Dominican diet: rice and the pernil and salad and all the good stuff. So you prepare that for the women of your family. The younger women normally do it for the elder women. Right. Because this is the way it is to say thank you. So we kept that. Also, it's funny because here we celebrate Dominican, in DR, Dominican Independence Day is a beautiful thing. You have Carnival. Here we don't do it, but within our family, We every year try to get together, have dinner together for Dominican Independence Day, just like we would do for 4th of July. Whatever you do like a barbecue, but it's in February, so it's not like a warm day. But you'll do like a dinner at home together, and we kept that. We bring it here, even though no one else acknowledges, but we do.
So do you think that the Dominican Independence Day is done more with like immigrants or like first generation?
Definitely more with the first generation here. I remember when I was younger, it was a bigger deal because I had my first uncles that came, my father just came, my parents just, and it was a bigger thing for them to celebrate as a growing up. Now that, my generation that was born here is taking care, we don't make such a big fuss of it, but we do acknowledge it, and we'll like try to probably like go out and do something. Versus how our parents did it. It was like someone cooks and everyone comes over. So it is getting kind of lost for the Dominican independence celebration here. Because I'm with second generation and my nephew's third, and he barely can tell you what day Dominican Independence Day is.
Oh.
Some of it is there, but it's something that we still acknowledge, though.
And I've noticed, like, during our conversation that, correct me if I'm wrong, like with Dominican culture, a lot of stuff is revolved around food.
There's always food. It could be a baptism. You go out and eat after your baptism. It could be a communion. You go out and eat. Meaning someone's house. It's not like it's a restaurant. Okay. Someone is ready. You're in church and someone is preparing the meal at home. So definitely there's always food involved. And it's always about sharing the food. Okay. So and it's something that I think I see a lot in myself too now, like now that I have my home. That's something that I need to do. Every time I have a friend come over or something, I have to have made something for her to eat. Or I just can't, like, you just can't come to my house and be like, oh, we're going to order. Like, no, wait. You know what I mean? Like,
that's the core values.
Exactly. That's something that I saw in my mother. Every time, and it could have been my neighbor that told, hey, tomorrow afternoon I'm going to your house. My mother had crackers and cheese and coffee. Because even if it's the neighbor, she lives right next door. Why do we need to do anything? No, you have to feed someone who comes to your house. And the same, like we were talking earlier, that it's instilled in you that when you go to someone's home, you always bring something. Yeah. You have. It's just like you don't go into someone's home empty-handed and just expect them to cater to you. You know, no. You bring. You say thank you for inviting me to your home. You bring a drink. You bring something made. Something. You just say that thank you for bringing me to your home is a sanctuary. Your home is very sacred in the Dominican household. Okay. Very sacred. That's just very important to keep it organized and clean and have your incense and candle and have it all the time. That is your shelter.
And one more thing, do you think that like the Dominican Republic is diverse, they have their issues, but do you think being a Dominican in the US has made you more diverse?
In a way, yes. Being that, especially that I was born and raised in New York City, where there's so many cultures, and I was already exposed, like I said, early on in my early teenage years, exposed to different things and accept different things. You know, it's easy for me to accept differences. Okay. In the Dominican Republic, when I go back, I am shunned because I'm too Americanized. And then within my own family. I think I mentioned this to you. My mother was very fair-skinned. My father was not. My father was a very dark-skinned man. And even though we're all Dominican, there was that little issue. There was always a tension that my mother married such a dark man. And those are little things that you still see, but it's not as bad as probably was when I was younger. But within the Dominican Republic, there's always a little separation in class, sometimes in color, sometimes... And it's just... And they learn to accept it, which I have a hard problem with. You know, but it's like, oh, that's how it is. I'm like, okay, well, I just have to respect my elders.
That's another one of the core values.
That's my core value. You just respect the elders. You don't have to agree with them to respect them. You just have to respect your elders. They've gone through things that you might not understand why they are like that. So you just respect their experience. You just respect them.
Okay, well, thank you, Natia. This is great. Okay, thank you.
Anytime.